In May of 2011, my cousin was called to serve as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Following his entry into the MTC, the next thing we knew is he was getting sent home. Now you can imagine the thoughts that were running through my mind. I was kind of just, why is Justin coming home? We didn't hear anything for a few weeks, and finally he came out of the closet and told us he was gay. Now I'm not here to discriminate against my cousin, and I am not here to tell anyone that they cannot have those feelings of same-sex attraction. But I am here to persuade you that same-sex attraction is not a bad thing, that we should accept everybody as children of God, no matter their beliefs, values, or practices. There are currently 9 states and Washington, D.C. in the U.S. that have legalized gay marriage. In a conference held in Salt Lake City, Utah in November of 2012, a man by the name of Josh Weed stated, "My story is not about change for gay Mormons." He is a gay Mormon. He's been married for 10 years to his beautiful wife, Holly, and they have 3 lovely daughters. He stated in an article that was published by Weed, and it said it was a decision that they made with eyes wide open when they decided to get married. In the article, he urged gay Mormons, along with their friends and family, to chart their own paths and make their own journeys, because it is a decision between them and God. Some marriages are broken when men or women have same-sex attraction or the practice thereof. This has been a controversial issue dating back to the Roman times. In 3 Nephi chapter 14, verse 2, it states, "For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured unto you again." Within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we believe that marriage should be between a man and a woman, lawfully wedded as husband and wife. Our bodies are sacred. Sometimes they are referred to in the scriptures as temples of God. Many people with same-gender attraction respect the sacredness of their bodies and the standards God has set. However, some cross this boundary and they indulge in immoral conduct. But members of the church realize that even the desire for physical gratification does not authorize immorality. Everyone has temptations, but one of the purposes of this life is to learn to overcome them. President David O. McKay beautifully defines spirituality as the consciousness of victory over self. These temptations, which are generally uninvited, may be very powerful, but they are never so strong as to take away our agency. Elder Dallin H. Oaks stated, "All of us have some feelings that we do not choose to have, but the gospel of Jesus Christ teaches us that we still have the power to resist and reform those feelings as needed, and to ensure that they do not lead us to entertain inappropriate thoughts, actions, or behaviors. Improper thoughts diminish if you replace them immediately with uplifting and constructive thoughts." The church affirms the sanctity and significance of marriage between man and woman. However, that should never be justification for unkindness or discrimination. Jesus Christ was clear in his condemnation, but never cruel. He was always urging others to lift people up rather than to tear down. Elder Quentin L. Cook stated, "As a church, nobody should be more loving and compassionate. Let us be at the forefront in terms of expressing love, compassion, and outreach. Let us not have families exclude or be disrespectful of those who choose a different lifestyle because of their attraction to their own gender." In 2 Nephi chapter 2, verse 25, it says that Adam fell that men might be, and men are that they might have joy. Now, along with this joy and happiness that each of us gets to experience in this life, we also get to experience hardships and difficulties. For some, that is, their difficulty is having same-sex attraction. So what if you're attracted to somebody else that is the same gender as you? We know the church's position on it, that marriage should be between a man and a woman. It's interesting talking with other people and hearing their input on how crazy some of the beliefs and values that we have in our church that they think. They just, many times that they think, how can they do and practice those things? But it's not their place to judge, even when they do know the doctrine of our church, because they don't realize the blessings that come from making those decisions to keep morally clean. We are all making decisions and mistakes, but the biggest mistake would be to judge others, knowing that we will be judged of ourselves one day. In 2003, Ty Mansfield, a student at BYU, shares his experience with same-sex attraction and how he found peace through living the gospel of Jesus Christ. He stated, "I hadn't originally intended to be so open about my feelings for same-sex attraction. Although I had worked through a crisis of faith on the issue, I was quite private about whom I opened up to, knowing the cultural taboo that was affiliated with it, and I was concerned about how people would react. Ty tells his story of having feelings for another man and how difficult it was not to act on those feelings. He concluded that he would be single for the remainder of his life, and he was okay with that. However, God had other plans for him. In one of the opening sessions of General Conference a few years ago, Ty explained that as soon as the opening prayer was given, I was completely enveloped by this spiritual feeling. I would hardly remember anything that was said during the session, but it was the feeling that I had was unlike anything I'd ever felt. For nearly 2 hours, all the hurt, the pain, the confusion, and the frustrations were gone. In its place was this feeling of divine love and the desire to be with the daughter of God in the most holy and unifying of ways. With this feeling came the words, "Stay with me." If you do, this feeling will be a permanent part of your being and will stay with you forever. Ty experienced gradual changes throughout his life, and through learning and living in the light of the Lord, Ty slowly received revelation about God's plan for his life, and he later married his wife that is still married today to. Her name is Danielle, and they have 3 children. Just as these 3 men's stories, whom I have shared with you, have experienced, we are all given opposition. As students at BYU Idaho, I challenge you to not discriminate against those that may have same-gender attraction or are in the practice of it. They are still good people, no matter what they practice. It is not your place to judge. Of course you can stand up for what you believe. That is why we are here on earth. We are given agency and are able to make decisions. But what I want to get at is that you do not need to have hard feelings or discriminate against those that believe or practice differently than you. As Will Rogers once said, good judgment comes from experience, and a lot of that comes from bad judgment. Because not one of us is perfect, we have no right to make a perfect or a just judgment, but to love one another continually.